Penn State just fired James Franklin, a guy who just had them in the college football playoff, I think in the Final Four of the college football playoff. The guy has given them multiple 10-win seasons. He started off this season returning a lot of starters from last year. Most people thought that this Penn State team very easily could win the Big Ten. They started off 3-0. They lost their first game 3 weeks ago to Oregon in a barn burner. And everybody was like, oh, okay. That's okay. That's fine. We're not happy, but, it was a top 10 matchup. And then last week he lost to 0-4 UCLA, a team who had just lost their head coach, lost their DC, lost their OC. And one of my favorite story right now in college football is Jerry Neuheisel. Rick Neuheisel's son, who, from what I understand and from what I'm getting, found out he was going to have to call the game plan, call the offense against Penn State, of all people, coming fresh off that loss to Oregon. Jerry Neuheisel outcoached them. Neuheisel out-hustled them, beat them. And then yesterday, Northwestern beat Penn State. Penn State dropped 3 games in a row. And with a massive buyout looming for James Franklin, Penn State said, we'll pay it. And they let him go. He's no longer the head coach at Penn State. By the way, his record against top 10 football teams, 4-21. That means since I think he's been there, he was at Penn State from 2014 to now. He's played 25 top 10 teams and he's only beat 4 of them. Yep. Again, this guy has made a lot of money coaching the game. He has won a lot of games, but they were paying him a lot of money to win the big games. At Penn State, you're supposed to beat the no-name teams, the teams who are historically bad. You're supposed to beat Minnesota. You're supposed to beat Rutgers. You're supposed to beat Northwestern. Even when Illinois is good, you're supposed to beat them too. You're being paid a lot of money to run a historical program in college football to beat Ohio State, not to just contend and then lose by 4 points to them. And it's almost like Penn State was looking for a reason to get rid of him because they knew they couldn't get them over the hump. Now that affects Clemson. And some of you are like, okay, tell me. This not only affects Clemson, this affects college football as a whole because Penn State is making a statement that I think that you're going to see more and more teams make a statement. I'm staring at Florida State right now too after Norvell's lost 3 games in a row. But there are teams out there who are looking at how much money, let me rephrase that. There are donors who are looking at how much money that they have pledged to the school, how much money they have pledged to have the coach to be paid so much money. And then, of course, now we have the added expense on the budget sheet for paying players. And when you introduce, and I know no one wants this. No one wants this whatsoever in most coaching staff offices. They want to be paid a lot of money, but they want very little expectation. If you expect anything out of them, then, Penn State is letting the college football world know we are serious about the state of our football program. We're spending a lot of money. The donors are giving a ton of money to the school, not out of an honorarium, not out of just goodwill, not because they're good little Happy Valley fans. It's because they want to win a national championship. And this affects Clemson because as more and more schools, and now some schools are not going to do that. They're going to let their coach stay there for as long as they want, as long as he wants to stay there. They're really not serious about college football. They're not serious about college football anymore. Maybe some things have changed in the administration. And they used to be serious about college football, but now they're not. We will see who those schools are. But Penn State says, hey, listen, we built that massive stadium to fill with fans and to fill the stands with fans. You have to win. And you have to win the big games. And there are schools out there who their donors cannot take it anymore, paying a coach outrageous amounts of money, and now you're paying players, and then there's no production. And this affects Clemson, because Clemson is going to have to make some decisions this season. Namely, Dabo Swinney is going to have to make some decisions that maybe he doesn't want to make. Last night, Clemson won by 31 points against one of the worst teams in the country. It was one of the most frustrating games I've watched in quite a while, other than the losses. Why? Because Clemson did not win that ball game because they were that good. It was because BC was that bad. And so right now, Clemson has 2 wins that they didn't have. They were 1-3 after being expected to win the national championship. Now they're 3-3, and they're about to go into a run that used to would be no problem for Clemson. Clemson had the coaching, Clemson had the players. And they would go, if this was Clemson in 2018, 2017 with Kelly Bryant was there. Definitely the Deshaun Watson years. Even the team when Cole Stout led the team had to play the rest of this season, they'd win every game. They would. They'd win every game, rest of the season, rest of the regular season. There wouldn't be a loss on this. There would not be a loss the rest of the season. And if you could have backed them up, they may only have one loss right now, maybe undefeated. But right now, Clemson could very well lose the next 3 ball games against SMU, Duke, and Florida State. Even though Florida State's on a 3-game skid. And Penn State saying, no more. It shows us that they're serious about spending all that money for the football team, right? They get it. This affects Clemson because it puts them in a corner. How are you going to respond and change the program to strive to be elite again? Because you're no longer elite, haven't been elite in a while. And this will affect Clemson to where if Clemson makes little to no moves, Dabo Swinney is what I'm really saying. And if he's not receiving pressure from the donors, who, by the way, puts the pressure on the president and on the athletic director. This is going to affect Clemson by showing us that Clemson's not serious about football anymore. They're not serious about winning football games, and I'm not talking about against the 2 of the worst teams in all of college football, in North Carolina and Boston College. There are people who are putting their money where their mouth is. There are people who's looking at their school and say, we respect our school enough to go, we even if it cost us $50 million right here. I think the buyout for James Franklin is $40 to $50 million, somewhere in there. Listen, this man, he's won a lot of games. Now, he's 4-21. That's not even struggling. It was just really bad against the top 10. But this man's made a lot of money coaching a game, and he's getting fired and getting that amount of money. Folks, he's already won. You know, you can cut jokes about coaches all you want to, but they are so flipping rich. When they lose, they still win. I mean, that's something I kind of admire. In very few areas in life do you get to do that. If you do bad on your job, You may get a little severance, but nothing like that. They'll fire you. They'll fire you right before Christmas. You're sitting there, how am I going to buy Christmas for my family? How am I going to put food on the table? How am I going to do it? They fire them. It's like, yeah, they fired him. Oh, but he's a multimillionaire just off of this alone, much less the money that he made. So it's kind of interesting. It's truly interesting to me that this is happening like it is. But this is going to affect Clemson, and it's going to affect other schools because it's going to expose if they're still serious about contending for a national championship, if they're still contending for a college football playoff, that you don't need someone else to fail for you to actually get invited. Like last year. And for me, James Franklin being fired, this shows it to me that Penn State is serious about college football, and they're not just going to start throwing a bunch of money at coaches and at players and not expect something in return. Penn State has to turn around and watch Kirk Cignetti, a guy with no 5 stars, barely any 4 stars on his team, throw together a team at a historically bad football team, their basketball school, and even their basketball is not good now. And he's going into year 2. He just beat Oregon yesterday. And they're having to sit and watch that and then turn around and look at Penn State football and go, whoa, what happened? Folks, coaching matters. I have told you this so many flipping times, and people won't listen to me. Coaching matters. You can transfer portal it up. But if you don't have the coach to coach those players, to develop them, to scheme for the game, make in-game adjustments, appeal to what matters to those players to get the most out of them, you can transfer portal it up and you're still not going to get the results that you want. You have to start with coaching. This week, I focused in a video, I focused on the transfer portal plus coaching changes saves Clemson. And we're at the place, after you watch the guys who are going out on the field and playing for Clemson, when the first string walks off, you see how bad it is? That's next year's team, sir. That's next year's team to the 2 or 3 women that actually watches this channel. I don't mean that offensive. I actually looked at the analytics. It's funny. It's all dudes. But I don't want to leave anyone out there. If Miss Vidalia is watching me right now, hi, Miss Vidalia. Good to see you. Sorry the Braves didn't make it to the World Series. They're bad again. With that said, Clemson's going to have to go to the transfer portal to get some players, because a lot of these guys that right now it's struggling, they're gone. A lot of them's gone. Not all of them, but a lot of them. But the coaching staff has to be overhauled, and we have to bring in the right coaches across the board. And there's one guy who can do that, and that's Coach Dabo Swinney. And I'm going to say this about Coach Swinney. I find it very interesting that 3 weeks ago, the man walked up to a microphone, 2 or 3 weeks ago, walked up to a microphone after losing to Georgia Tech and proclaimed to the fan base, who, by the way, who has adored him, who has taken up for him, who, yes, he brought Clemson success, but remember, Clemson took a chance on him as well. So there's a bunch of backs that have been scratched here. It's just not one-sided. And he told the Clemson faithful, if you're tired of winning, if you're sick of winning, I'll leave and go somewhere else. And then he lost to Syracuse. Now, Coach Swinney is at a crossroads in his coaching journey. He has said it, and I agree. He has a lot more football left in him. With that said, it will be up to him what type of football that will be. This current coaching staff that he has as a whole, they could go coach somewhere else, make a lot of money, by the way. They wouldn't end up homeless. They can go coach at a Power 5 school or a Group of 5 school, excuse me. Not Power 5, it's Power 4, Group of 5 is what I meant to say. They can go coach as a positions coach, makes $200,000 or $300,000 a year, and coaching a game. Maybe not as much as they're making at Clemson, but they could go coach somewhere else and get out of the environment that is Clemson that's not growing them. And then Clemson in turn could turn around and hire elite coaches to come in. But here's one thing, and one of you brought this up to me the other day, and it was a beautiful point, and I agree with it 100%. What happens if Clemson keeps on prolonging, Coach Sweeney, let me rephrase that, keeps prolonging making the overhaul, the changes, and then after he makes the changes, allowing his coordinators and new position coaches to do their job and not run got to learn the Clemson's offense. We don't need to learn anything about this offense other than it's not good, hasn't been good for a very long time, and now everyone's losing their mind because the defense is still struggling. Because remember, the defense was the one that kept us in games while the offense had absolutely no identity for years. So Coach Sweeney could make those changes tomorrow. And I believe that if he did made the proper changes, you would see a truly elite team to come back. But one of you made the point, and I just forgot it, and I was going to say this here, that if he keeps on prolonging and not make the change, Clemson's going to start going down even farther, and then no one will want to come and coach at Clemson and won't want to work for him if he is micromanaging people. So Penn State firing James Franklin is telling everyone in the college football world, we're serious about football and we're just not going to dish out millions of dollars to coaches and to players with no expectation. We're not bad people for having expectation. We're not. If you pay a lot of money for an expensive meal in fine dining, don't walk McDonald's out to me. Don't bring me an Arby's roast beef special with curly fries. And that's what they're saying. And then you're going to have other administrations that are still serious about football stepping back going, hold on, Penn State just did that to the guy that just had them in the college football playoff? Yeah. Well, he was 4-21 against top 10 football teams. So, he's had more than ample time to prove that he can. And for you math buffs out there, 4 out of 20 or 4 out of 25, that means he's only won 16% of his top 10 matchups. He's lost 84% of them. What does that say? That says that they can't beat a good football team. So every time, and this is something I have to remind the Clemson community, because the Clemson community, some of you, you're here with me in the present. You're thankful for what went on in 16 and 18 in the 6 consecutive playoffs. You're very thankful for that. You're happy about it. But you also know that current day, we're in October 2025. 2016, if you do the math, was 9 years ago. 2018, 7 years ago. And we're no longer in those days. We are in the days of talking about times and accomplishments that's no longer the coaching staff that was part of all of those accomplishments, they've been long gone. That's the reason why the program looks like it does. But Penn State's saying, not with us. We've been patient and we've been patient and we've been patient and we've been patient. And you know what? We got together with our accountants. We got together with our donors. I'll guarantee you yesterday, Penn State wasn't even, they wasn't even in showered good before major donors. We're talking about people who love to put a lot of money into a program just to see their name slapped on the side of a building. Just so they can brag to their rich friends that, yeah, I have a building named after me. Only way they lose that name is when someone finds that they did something bad or conjures up a lie that they did something bad, and then the university keeps their money, keeps the building, but then changes the name of the school. We've seen that done several times. But anyway, it's kind of funny, but it's kind of sick. It's hilariously sick. Those were the people who were calling up the administration at Penn State going, no, not doing it anymore. That's it. We're done, guys. It's a wrap. So right now, I'm going to go ahead and tell you this. Florida State's eyeing Norvell. They owe him so much money. Oh, by the way, I want to talk about this. And I knew someone brought this up. Well, you got to understand, they all have the same agent. I'm going to tell you this. The next school that gives this coach a $50+ million buyout, they need to sit, look at history, and ask themselves, now how has that worked out? Well, we've all got the same agent. Well, you tell Mr. Agent, not talking to him right now. We'd rather him walk than give this guy a big contract. And I'm not talking about Franklin. I'm talking about almost all of them. A big contract so they can sit around and decide to stop working, decide to stop having the fire. And then basically, we have to pay them a ton of money so we can move on and find someone who's hungry to win a championship. There has to be some balance here, folks. And I'm going to tell you this, in my life experience, anytime I encounter someone who goes, no, there's no way. You remember the BCS? There was no way for a BCS. Even, the little crappy computer that would tell us who number 1 and number 2 was. We were told that couldn't happen. We were told that you couldn't get a committee together to vote on who should be number 1 and 2. Oh, we were told that you couldn't have a college football playoff. Oh, once you got 4 of them in there, we were heard for a little bit. Oh, you can't. It is beyond us how we could expand the playoff. They've expanded the playoff. Oh, you know what? Now we're talking about expanding it even more. Don't give me that load of crap. I mean, good grief. Someone needs to learn something here and stop giving coaches these outrageous buyouts, because I'm going to tell you this. I hear a lot of people talking about NIL. NIL's what killed the game. No, when coaches started making $5 to $10 million a year and have a $50+ million buyout, that was officially when the game was in the casket and there was a nail in it. The lowering of it into the ground was when you paid players. Don't you dare act like that paying players has ruined college football. It hasn't. You'll have a coach walk up, and I mean, this has happened so many times, except for like Nick Saban. Nick Saban produced. That was Nick Saban. Then learn from what he did. How did he do it? Pay attention. You have coaches that walks up to mics and they trash talk their fans knowing that they can't be fired. They do it all the time. And what would be really interesting to me is if those buyouts didn't exist. Maybe a few $1 million. And did you hear that? A few $1 million? That's a lot of money. Oh, you're not producing? Oh, we think you're chilling out? Oh, we think that you're not worried about winning football games anymore? Like Penn State said to Coach Franklin, hey, we appreciate what you did, but guess what? It's time for us to move on. Let me tell you this. There'd be a lot of coaches right now who's going up to a microphone and getting angry with their fans. And I'm going to tell you exactly what would happen. You wouldn't see that as much. We pay you $5 million to coach, or we pay you $2 million and you don't get $5 million. No, there's no more $5 million next year. And you'd see guys sit up and go, you know what? I better start acting like the rest of society that doesn't antagonize people, because I may just lose this really incredible job to coach a game and make ungodly money, which I'm fine with him making money. But Clemson fans, I'm going to tell you straight up, Penn State just told the college football world, we are serious about college football. And there's other schools I believe is going to follow. Florida State's probably one of them. Oklahoma State's already fired their coach. UCLA fired their coach. Arkansas fired their coach. I'm probably missing someone. I'm probably overlooking someone right now. Billy Napier is squeezing one out every week just to try to get through this season. It is just interesting. It is interesting to watch what's going on. I'm watching a Texas Tech team who has so much oil money because of one guy who loves Texas Tech football so much. He gave them so much money. Texas Tech's a top 10 team now. Go sit and think about that in a dark room. The number 3 ranked team in the country, and yes, it could fall apart in 5 minutes. I get it. Is Indiana? Indiana. Yeah. Number 3 in the country. Kirk Cignetti has been in the game for a while now. Kirk Cignetti was on the coaching staff with Nick Saban. Back in 2011 or so. And he left and took, I think, a D2 school because he felt like he could be a head coach. And he did it. He's 64 years old. Do you realize that? I mean, he's not a spring chicken. Kirk Cignetti is not a spring chicken. He's not at all. Guy left Alabama, went to IUP. After that, he went to Elon up in North Carolina. How many years was he at Elon? 2017, 2018. Then he went to James Madison from 2019 to 2023. They made an appearance in the FCS National Championship. The guy was a menace to coach against in the Sun Belt. In his first year in the FBS, they were 8-3, earning part of the Sun Belt East Division title. And we now know exactly what's going on in Indiana. This is a 64-year-old man. This is not some spring chicken. Some kid with a cool backwards hat on who's now coaching a D1 school. This is a man who's been around for a while, still has the fire, still has the want, still has the desire. And they just, if I understand correctly, they just doubled his salary. He's now making $8 million per year. Penn State's having to sit there and watch that and go, what? What, Indiana? Indiana, and we just lost to who again? And you may not be a fan of Kirk Cignetti's persona or some of the things that he said, but you know what he does? He wins football games. Just Google him. That's what he said. Yeah, that's snarky. Yeah, that sounds like a smart aleck. Yeah, that sounds like someone that you maybe don't want to be around. Maybe he's a wonderful individual. Maybe it's just the fighter in him. Maybe he's arrogant. I don't know. But I will tell you this. Go Google him. He wins. And he wins a lot. No matter where he's at, he wins. So if you are going to go shell out a ton of money, get someone like Kirk Cignetti. Go get a guy who doesn't just walk up to a microphone and go, yeah, that loss is on me. And we hear that all the time from a lot of people. People who has so many resources, who has history behind them, who has a rabid fan base, whose fans will pay ungodly money to go see a college football team play football. Can't even afford to take their kids to the good games because they're just so astronomically priced. And then you have some coach walk up to a microphone and go, "Yeah, that that loss was on me. Feel bad about it." You said that the last time. You said that last year. If I had that lackadaisical approach to my job, and I work for a good company, they'd chop my head off and bowl with it. I would love to sit here and hear about how being a coach is stressful. Folks, if you live in this world, you suck wind and you work a job, it's stressful. These guys are paid outrageous money, and sure, money doesn't fix everything, but let me tell you this, take their money away and see how much of that stress would really increase. And these buyouts, these buyouts are ridiculous. Well, you got to have them in place or somebody could come along and poach them. Yeah, a little something in place, but setting them up for the rest of their life, no. Penn State said no more. And you know what? We're going to pay him. He's going to be paid handsomely. He's going to make a lot of money. He's already made a lot of money. Going to pay him a lot of money. They just let the college football world know we were patient. We're no longer playing checkers. We're playing chess. Who else? Who else? If you have any respect for your football program out there, I'm talking about any football team. I'm talking about Clemson. What are you allowing to go on? And that lets me know all I need to know about your seriousness about the football program. Again, before some of you get you're just about to go take up for your favorite coach, no matter who that is, just ask yourself this and be honest. Don't lie to me. Even if you're cussing under your breath and you're like, I hate that look on his face because I know he's right. If you had that lazy approach and lazy excuse with your own job that you hear some of these guys who are being paid $40, $50, $60, $70,000 a day to coach a game. If you had that same approach with your job, would your employer, would they put up with it? Or as I said, would they chop your head off and bowl with it? I think I know the answer. I'm sitting here watching this. I was shocked. I'm telling you, I was out to lunch with my wife. My oldest texted me really, really quick. It was like, hey, they just fired James Franklin. And then ESPN followed the little ticker thing, a little notification. And I was shocked. I thought he was grandfathered in. And I'm not being sarcastic there. I thought he was grandfathered in. I thought that Penn State was totally fine with losing basically every top 10 matchup that they had. And that they had bought in that, it'll be next year. Apparently not. Apparently not. And I'll tell you this, I'm going to name someone out. I'm going to name someone out that's going to shock some of you too. Mario Cristobal right now his team's ranked number 2 in the country. But the past two seasons, he has dropped the ball later on in the season. Got those Miami fans' hopes all hyped up. And you know Miami fans, they're proud. They're very, very proud. I have some good Miami fans that followed me, and then I have a few that, they stopped following me because they absolutely hate reality. despise reality. Don't you dare talk to me. They're still living in 2001. That's 24 years ago. I don't even know if Taylor Swift was born yet. That's how far back you're in. Way back, right? So, Cristobal right now is on top of the world. Miami's looking good, but I'm pumping my brakes on them. You let Cristobal pull what he's pulled the past 2 years, all the hurricanes. Oh, there will be a hurricane a brewing. It'll be a Category 5. And standing in the path of the eye will be Mario Cristobal, because teams are tired of having their emotions played with, all while being begged. And I'm not talking about Cristobal exactly. I'm talking about everyone, while being begged for money and for patience and for blind allegiance. And donors, especially. If you're dealing with a business person that's worth their weight in gold, they eat, sleep, breathe. Their mantra, the reason they wake up in the morning, is called ROI. How many people here know what ROI is? Return on investment. You invest money and you expect a return. Now, if I invest $100,000 and I only get back $20, it's not worth me investing $100,000. But if I invest $100,000 and I make $100,000, even 50, feeling pretty good about me. But if I'm going to risk $100,000 to make 10, probably not going to do it. Probably not going to do it. And they're sitting here watching these guys be paid a lot of money, and now all the players being paid a ton of money. And the funny thing about it is everybody just supposed to sit back and let it happen to them. And I remember when Georgia fired Mark Richt. And I'm telling you straight up, Brian Kelly down at LSU. Brian and Kelly at LSU, you let a couple of things go wompy for him this season, they'll fire him too. Had Brent Venables not got things together, and of course there's still the remainder of the season, so that could happen, they'll fire him at Oklahoma. He'll be gone. Lincoln Riley, allow him to have another season like he's had the past few seasons, they'll fire him at Southern Cal. Right now, he'll be gone. Let Josh Heupel fall off the cliff up there in Knoxville. Rocky Top will toss him off of Rocky Top. They'll show him how rocky it is all the way down to the bottom. Because when you introduce this much money into the equation, whether it's right or wrong, realistic, unrealistic, irrational, rational, whatever, people has a high expectation. And right now, Penn State just fired the shot and let everyone know we're serious about football here, and we've given someone a long time. And we were patient, and we've had to listen how bad the record is against top 10 teams. All the while, Michigan's won a national championship. Ohio State's won a national championship. We have Indiana getting better with a guy who seems overly confident, but he overly produces. If he had that's who I would be going after if I was Penn State. I'd go after Kirk Cignetti right now. I just made the camera shake. We're not having an earthquake here. Anyway, sorry. It was a goofy moment for me. If you know me, that's just, I entertain myself that way. Folks, I'm telling you straight up, there's a lot of people right now looking that are in the coaching world that's looking at James Franklin being fired, and then they're looking at themselves going, hold on, if they'll do that to him, I'm chopped liver. Maybe good. Maybe you should. You know what? For some of these coaches, I think they need to go work a regular job. Make $60,000 a year. Can't go on vacation. When you walk into the room, no one cares. It's like, that's just another human being to me. You're confident and no one cares. I feel like I'm a leader. No one cares. You don't do your job, yeah, we're firing you. Hold on. I mean, you didn't even give me a good talk, or you weren't even patient with me. Yeah, no, we're not doing that. You're fired. What am I supposed to do? We don't know and we don't care. See, you've been living in a soft little world. And by the way, I don't believe in that. I don't believe in doing people that way, folks. I don't. But that is the world that we live in, and I've had to deal with it. Now, if I'm in charge of something, I try to do it the right way. I try to help people. I don't like seeing people fired. But that's me. The rest of the world would look at you and go, you should have done your job. And there's no buyout. There's no payout. There's clean what will let you clean out of your desk and go. We never want to see you again. Some of these guys need that. Some of these guys need that need that said to them. I'm going to get into this comment section. There's 137 of you in here right now. And there's been a lot of you in here almost the entirety of this video. I'm going to get in the comment section. I can't cover everything. There's so many comments in here. It's crazy. But I want to call first I want to call out someone. I have people who have been joining my channel, and you pay a monthly fee just to support my channel because you know I'm independent. If I worked for some sports channels, I couldn't say what I just said. You know it. I know it. All God's children knows it. I'm an independent. If you like that, I hope you'll join. It's cheap. I do appreciate it. If you don't, at least subscribe. Remember, it's free. And if you'll pass it along to your buddies and go, hey, this guy's he's kind of passionate and stuff, but at least he believes what he says. I do appreciate that if you'll do that. But to everyone who's joined my channel and supporting on a monthly basis, thank you so much. Honestly, I do feel it. It does mean a lot to me, and I do appreciate it. You know, any time that someone would just turn on and watch me consistently, it means a lot to me because you could watch someone else. So I do appreciate it. To everyone who has subscribed, thank you so much. It's awesome. It means a lot to me. And for people who are just returning, watching, I do appreciate it as well. Getting into the comment section. Trenton Floyd, been waiting for this. Been waiting for this. Our team is getting more entertaining. They played against some bad teams, but we'll see. We'll see. Good to see you, Will, man. South Carolina fired the offensive line coach. Yeah, I heard about that. Their offensive line is... But let me tell you guys, they're reloading. When I saw how many defensive players they lost off their roster for the season, I called this, y'all. I said, yeah, y'all are not Georgia or Ohio State. And I was told I was an idiot. They're 3-3 now. Dale seems like a great guy. I'm sure he will be fine. When you are getting paid like that, you have to produce results. Yeah, 100%. Agree with this 1,000%. They are going to take Garrett Riley off our hands, right? Right. I'm going to tell you this. I don't know what's going to happen with Garrett, but folks, you can fire Garrett. I'm not calling for him to be fired. I'm just saying you can fire Garrett. We have position coaches everywhere on both sides of the football who, as I said just a moment ago, and I've been saying this for a while, I'm not saying they'll never be a good football coach, but they're not Clemson level football coaches, right? You can go coach at Memphis right now, make a handsome living, but you're not a Clemson level coach. Well, what was a Clemson level? And so you can go bring in Tom Allen, you can go bring in new offensive coordinator, but if you have the same position coaches, those are the guys who are developing this team, developing these players. That's the reason why you're looking at players that are falling off, players that are not developing, that are not getting any better. That's who's doing it. You get that, don't you? And I'm not yelling at you, Nicholas. I'm sorry. I didn't mean it that way towards you, but I'm just saying that in general. That's who's doing this. This is not a Garrett problem. This is an entire Clemson coaching staff problem, except for maybe one or two. So, you can go have you can, use Garrett as a sacrificial lamb. But if I look at the coaching staff as a whole, and they're basically the same except for one person, maybe two, still got a problem. Big time. Massive problem. FSU hasn't won an ACC game in 386 days. SEC dog. There you are. Good to see you. Daniel Burt, Penn State fan first, Clemson fan second. This has been a tough year. Yeah, tell me about it, man. It's crazy. Daniel Burt wonder how Tom Allen feels. Chad Godfrey, you're right about that. When did the micromanagement begin? Patrick Mercer, soon after BV left. I don't know. Somebody was talking about, I think it was Pigskin Pete. Pigskin Pete mentioned something about Dabo giving signals during like for the defense. And folks, I'm gonna say this again. Dabo has said that he's not an X's and O's guy, and that, listen, that was one of the good things about him, because he knew that. So instead of overcompensating, he just went out and hired some pretty solid people and some really good hires early on. That's the reason he got the championship. Him calling plays is not how he got there. And he needs to go back to trusting people, the very best at all positions, not former players, not guys that he knows that he thinks a lot of, not some guys who just are zealous and everything, guys who can actually coach as a whole, turn the team over to them, and collect the national championships. That's what he needs to do. He does not need to be calling plays. Fran Brown is who I'd try to hit if I were Penn State. Fran Brown can coach. Can you imagine him at Penn State? Nicholas said, preach, preach, preach. One good year doesn't mean anything for money. The players and coaches make it a business now. It's like golden parachutes for pharmaceutical drug companies. Pigskin Pete's good to see you, buddy. Pigskin texted me this morning. Something very interesting. I'm not going to talk about it live here, but yeah. Sent me something. All I'm going to say, you never know who's watching our channels. I'm going to leave it at that. Good to see you, buddy. If coaches make the school so much, sure, $10 million a year is fine, but making an incentive-based guarantee over 8 years of decreasing yearly buyout. I think that you when you give away your leverage, and that's what's done a lot. Don't be shocked when you find yourself in a place to where the coach walks up to the microphone and goes, guys, I really hate this, and all that much stuff, and then goes back off, and you see the same results. I don't know about you. I've had pressure applied in my life to where I had to make a change, and I hated it, but I made the change, and somehow it was impossible, but it was made possible. Between a lot of prayer and a lot of hard work, a lot of focus, a lot of drive, made it happen. But if the leverage was gone, and it was like, I can come in here and crap around, it doesn't matter, it wouldn't happen. Adler 7, Franklin's laughing all the way to the bank. You're 100% right. You're 100% right. I don't feel bad for him financially. The guy's won. The guy's unbelievable. That's unbelievable. Congrats to him. Congrats to James Franklin. Lose your job. And, oh my goodness. Love him or hate him, Nick Saban focused on the trenches and knew how to motivate players. Dabo was good at motivating players also. I don't know why he quit. Patrick, Ed O story. Yeah, that's funny. I heard Ed Orgeron. I'm going to do my Ed Orgeron impression, y'all. Just stick with me. So he was talking about when LSU pulled him into the office and said, we're going to have to fire you. And he was like, okay. And they were like, well, we owe you $11 million or something like that. And he said, where's the door? That was $11 million. I think Franklin's getting like 50 or something. Edo knew what he was doing there. Oregon State too. Penn State said UNC is not serious about college football. I mean, I'm telling you right now, UNC has made themselves look bad. Between the ACC, going back and forth with, whether they were going to file a lawsuit, all the infighting in Chapel Hill, and then this. Yeah, I used to have a lot of respect for UNC, but whatever's going on up there, it's just crazy. I love Dabo, but the guy needs to clean house in some areas and restart, but also with less money so he can be more serious about keeping his job. He needs to clean basically house and, yeah. He recruited my cousin to E-line. That's cool. Keep going. Hard to argue against that. Does anyone know why Nick Saban stepped away from college football in Alabama? Remember his reason? Yeah. Boston College will fire their head coach. 1 in 5 season. Yeah, and Bill O'Brien can actually coach. I just think they're that bad. I think they're that bad. Justin Parrott's in here. Let me see. Jarrett. Clemson will be worse off next season. Yeah, they will be. They will be. Because that team that jogs out there, well, it's only been the past 2 weeks because Clemson hasn't been able to build a lead in about 5 years to get the backups experience. That used to be a good thing that happened all the time, but, that like home phones has passed away. With the big swirly cord that you could pull around the neighborhood, but you were still connected somehow. I've always been intrigued by those things. Yeah, that's gone. Clemson will be worse off next year. Yeah. You ain't a real fan, are you? Go Tigers. Some people bother me. Do you think it's more likely that Dabo is fired that Nev will take away Dabo's ability to choose staff, especially next season, if he doesn't deliver expectation-wise? No offense to any of the parties that you just mentioned, nothing's going to change. Nothing's going to change. I don't believe it 1 second. I pay attention to what people says. I also pay attention to what they don't say. Also pay attention to their posture towards certain situations. It tells a lot. I've been known to misread some people, but there's been some times in my life. I don't know if your name's Katya or Katya. Please forgive me if I butchered that. But there's been a couple of times in my life that there's one particular person. I knew they were not who everybody thought they were, like that. And I was told that I was just being pessimistic. I mean, I'm serious. I'll never forget. This is one of the craziest moments in my life. And I called it. I was even made to look like the bad guy. And no, I'm not talking about football. I'm talking about something worthwhile in life. And I said, this person is a troublemaker. This person is arrogant. This person is going to tear people down. This person is truly, I know people throw around the word narcissist a lot and I get sick of it. This person was truly a narcissist and could manipulate people like I've never seen in my entire life. And I called it like very, very soon. And it took some years of me being ridiculed and being looked at as the true troublemaker, only for them to prove not only were they bad, they were worse than what even I thought. Sometimes you have to stick to your guns, folks. Sometimes being a man is not about how you pump out your chest and ready to fight someone over the women folk, protect your wife and stuff. Good old-fashioned Western shootout. No, it's a part of being a man sometimes is long-suffering. Sticking to your guns, going, you know what? I'm not arrogant, but I do know that I'm right here. And I'm not going to back down because people are accusing me of things that I'm not. I'm just going to let time take care of this. And I'm going to tell you, that is some of the sweetest moments I've ever had in my entire flipping life. Being able to look at someone and go, I don't have to tell you that I was right. In fact, I hate that I was right because this person did so much damage. That right there taught me so many lessons. And I'm going to tell you straight up, and something that's not near as important. College football is not even a speck on the windshield in my life. I just have this channel. I love talking about it. Y'all love listening, or at least arguing with me, or just bantering. It's a good escape, you know? And I have a good life. I'm not escaping from something terrible. But I'm just saying, you know what I'm saying, from work, and I have a good job. But I'm just saying, just chilling, right? Getting worked up over nothing. With that said, I don't see any changes happening. That's what scares me. I don't see any changes. Do you think, and no offense to Graham Neff, do you really think that he can fire Dabo Swinney? And I'm not calling for him to be fired. I'm just asking, do you really think so? I don't think so. Pull Dabo into the office and go, hey, everything looks bad. You do have my support, but you have my support in changing everything. You know this is not championship football. Do you really think that? I don't believe that. Trying to get some more of these comments. For Dabo, it would be a financial benefit to get fired today. Yeah. Yep. By the way, thanks for supporting the channel, Big John, on a monthly basis. I appreciate it. Thank you for being a friend. I had to sing it faster, else I get the copyright strike. Yeah, it would be a bit beneficial. Dabo, let me tell you this. Dabo is not worried at all. He's not worried at all. And I'm not saying that's a good or a bad thing. I'm just saying there's no reason for the man to worry. He's won 2 national championships, and he has, what, a $60 million buyout? I'll tell you how he sleeps at night. Between 2 championships and a pillowcase filled with $100 bills. That's how he sleeps. And again, I'm not taking a shot at the coach. I'm just saying, what real pressure does he have? You know, we expected you to win. He's already won. It's just that things aren't like it is. Coach Swinney doesn't have pressure on him like when he went 6-7 that one year in his second full season. Big Shots in here says CV is horrible. CV looks bad because he hasn't been playing and he doesn't have anyone developing him. That's why. This is the second quarterback in a row. Third, actually, that we've seen. You had a 5-star in DJ, and everybody likes to crap on DJ. Now we have Cade. Now we have Christopher Vizina. There's some different reasons why this could be going on. Either we're terrible at evaluating talent, or we're terrible at developing, because there's one constant here. It's not the players. It's the position that's not good. So if you move players through a system over time, and you even fire the offensive coordinator, change coordinators a couple of times, and there's still the problem, I don't know how you are with variables, folks. But when you're trying to troubleshoot, you look at the constants and versus the changes. And it rears its ugly head. Brian Reinhardt, I've always said coaches' buyouts are what has really hurt college football. I agree with you with 100%. I'm not saying not have a buyout. I get the reason why it's there, to put a financial burden on someone just in case they wanted to take your coach. But you want to talk about over leverage? Over leverage? That's an understatement. The Dealing Dave, CFB is now slowly changing to paying the Jimmy and Joes and going to the dollar store for coaches. But first, CFB has to shake off all the massive coaches' contracts that are still draining athletic departments. Yeah, I agree with you. There are guys out there who has something to prove. Signetti's one of them. I think Jeff Levy down at Mississippi State is one of them. I think right now in his career, I don't know how he's going to do later. He has something to prove. I think Brent Key busts his butt, has things to prove. Going through the comment section. Houndbone, it's good to see you, Shane. Been a while. I'm not for Dabo leaving, but Carolina Jackpot said it best. Dabo is like a stale turd that won't flush. I won't agree with what Jackpot, love Jackpot, by the way, saying there. Here's one thing what I'll say about Coach Swinney is that he could still be winning at the level that he was. And we hear about how winning football games is not the main goal. And he's only been afforded that because he did win championships. So I think that some priorities, we're seeing why Clemson is struggling there. Oh, goodness. Dave 0051, I bet they made a deal for less buyout money for Franklin. And then Tiger Forever said, they chopped my head off and bowl with it. I got to remember that. Tiger Forever, it's good to see you in here. Yeah. 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 That's the one thing that doesn't make sense. Even, and I'll tell you who it really doesn't make sense with. It's a lot of the fans. You'd be shocked how many fans comes on here and will take up for, any coach making 10 mil a year, 5 mil a year. Good grief, $1 million a year to coach a game is a lot of money. $500,000 a year to coach a game is laughable. But it's like that they have sat and listened to all of these massive numbers be thrown around like it's nothing. In the college game, in the pros. And now they he makes $2 million. He only makes $2 million a year. What? Do you make $2 million a year? Well, no. But it makes you feel big talking big numbers, but it's about someone else, right? My tongue's swelling. Yeah. Yeah, because all the illogical is increasing the blood flow to your tongue, and you're about to choke to death because it is so irrational. It's out of hand. It's totally out of hand. And it's I'm telling you this, Penn State making this move is bigger than Gundy getting fired, because Penn State was just in the college football playoff. Mike Gundy and Oklahoma State, they've been struggling. It just didn't happen overnight. And you look at all these, you've looked at all the teams that have made significant changes. It's crazy. I'm just wondering how Clemson responds, and I'm gonna give you my prediction on how Clemson responds. I don't think the athletic department is going to put pressure on the right changes being made. I think that Coach Swinney is irritated with this season. I truly do. But as I said, I pay attention to people's posture when they talk about things. I pay attention to what they say, what they don't say, how they say it. And then here's the most important part. What happens afterwards? Yeah, sure, give it some time. What happens afterwards? You've heard me rant about this. I've talked about some of these coaches that gets irritated with guys like me. Never played. Love the game, by the way. Never coached. You don't know what it's like till you put those pads on and all this bunch of stuff. And it's like, okay, get it. But you just sat there on a dry erase board and you drew out something you really impressed with. So how did it turn out? Well, if we executed. So what you're telling me, you brought in your game plan, but you didn't look at the players and ask yourself a very responsible question. Can my current roster perform what I'm dishing out to them? Well, so you lost. You've never coached before. Yeah, I know. At least if I fail, I mean, you can take a wild guess why. Your way or the highway, pal. What was the end result? You know, you can tell me what your goals are, but if I pay attention to a few things, what you do and your checkbook, bank account. That's old man talk for bank account. Your bank ledger, I can tell you exactly what you care about and what your goals are. And so as I look at this football team, I see Penn State making a massive move today. That's a massive move, cost them a lot of money. Could cost them players, according to who they bring in. And then I look at the rest of college football and I look at Clemson. I go, how serious is Clemson about this? How serious is Clemson about their football team? Are we still living in 16 and 18 with that 6 consecutive playoffs? Are we still bragging about winning an ACC championship last year that someone had to fail for us to even make it there? And then once we made it to the college football playoff, we got beat by 14 points and celebrated like we won a Super Bowl. Every time you play a good football team, you lose. The last top 10 football team that we beat, I want to say, was in 2023 against Notre Dame. Before that, we hadn't beat a top 10 team. We hadn't beat a top 10 team since. And before that, we probably hadn't beat a top 10 team since the 2019 playoffs when we beat Ohio State in the first round where Trevor Lawrence peeled off that long run. I think that was our last top 10 win. Pretty sure. Long time, y'all. Long time. Yeah. At that time, my oldest was, I believe, 13. Now he's 19 and just got off of a mission trip. A few things have changed. He has a beard. That's how much time has went by since then. So we're going to see how serious a lot of football teams are. But this one tells us that Penn State is definitely serious about this. By the way, I'm not calling for Dabo to be fired. Just want to throw that out there. There's no subliminal message here. Dabo Swinney needs to make a bunch of changes. So Penn State made their change today, sending a shockwave through college football, letting them know, yeah, we do care, and we are paying attention. All right, folks. I'm ending with this one because this is hilarious. Town Baz, but how does all of this affect Keegan Michael Key? That is hilarious because he does a really good impression of James Franklin. It's funny, folks. 156 of you in here. I hope you subscribe. It's free. If you like what I do, want to support it for free, hope you'll subscribe. Pass it along on your forums, Facebook, whatever. The guys at work. Also, I have another channel, another college football podcast. In fact, I talked about James Franklin being fired on that channel right before I came on here. I think the link is below. Another college football podcast. I'm just talking about college football as a whole. And I say this now a lot when I'm referencing that podcast. When I dive into other college football teams, and I watch college football, I've been doing this for years, watching other college football teams other than my own team because I just love college football team. And I'm going to tell you this. If you do that and then you watch Clemson play, you would be even more depressed. And I'm going to leave it at that. Y'all take care of yourself. I'll catch you later on this week. And as always, good or